Cool. Alrighty. Overnight low here. Overnight low. We had a breakdown of this level here around that 540 level, but the overnight high was in that range there. This is 1 day's worth. So the overnight high is up at 18,601. 24th, yeah. So that's a pretty long ways away. We are in a downward momentum right now. Currently, overnight last night, we took a combine short. Grabbed ourselves a little bit of a win. We're going to be focusing on these levels here come 1 minute. I'm not necessarily ready to jump into anything currently with this extension to the downside. We did close Friday. Let's see here. We'll go 3 days. Friday. $1,500. We closed right here at 14.59. Close was 74.75. 18,074.75. Okay. So right there. Just at that, I'll call that 77 level. You can see how much it acted as resistance come the open, and the overnight session just held right below here, below VWAP, rotating down. Our lows here that we're kind of going to be interested in as well is this zone here, the zone right around that 18,555. I'm just going to keep note of it. It's not going to be something I'm going to mark up at the moment. We'll do a 30-minute chart here just so we can see kind of our lower targets. You can see this was the breakdown and the breakout level right here, which was 18,320. If you want to use this little wedge pattern down here, the breakout down there from that support level is anywhere from 256 up into 290. So really that 18,300 level would be a nice target if this market's going to just continue to puke the rest of the week. So that's just going to be a downside target right there. We delete some of these older things here. We're going to get into the 5 minute here. And we're just going to let this thing play out a little bit. The market's open. You did get that dump off of the open right there. So we're going to see if anything here kind of plays out. I am going to be probably focusing mainly on combines this week, so I'm going to show you this chart here. This account's up, so we're going to go to this one here. Let me see if we could get ourselves a couple counts past this week. And then we're going to focus on that and then really start to hammer in on our risk management. That's really the main goal every day. The Russell, so last week we were mentioning the Russell. It was beaten down during the day, that session, right? We were stuck in this little range here, and then we cracked that low. We set up this little rising wedge, cracked that, and then just went level to level. And we went down into this low here at 2088 was that final target that I had for that week. So we did move into that. So now we're kind of rotating back high side on the Russell. That's the small caps. So I would be interested to see what happens at that 105 level, if it's going to accept here or if it's going to start to rotate back down. Russell kind of let us down on Friday, so I just want to be mindful of that. And then the S&Ps, you can see right here, S&Ps has this little downtrend that was formed. So anything that pops up into that 289.50 area, 289.93, depending on the time that it gets there, I would be interested in seeing if that's going to reject and be short, or if it's going to accept above here and continue to rally to all-time highs, because we are in those all-time high areas. But right now, NASDAQ is pushing up high side, has completed that opening range there. The opening range was below that overnight low. Right here, you can see this red line to blue line. So we wicked that low. Now we have VWAP above, and this breakdown point right here where we were. We broke down from overnight at around midnight. Oh no, this is actually at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. We broke down from here at midnight. So I actually entered in on that combine. I entered in up here around midnight after work. I saw this rejection of this level here. We did have a, let's show you on the trading view. Where's trading view? It's over here. You can see last night we had this area right here, right? We came back up into that 588. Once we came into 588, I gotta get rid of this alert. I don't want this anymore. Delete it. We came back into that 588, which is the top end of that wedge channel that we have kind of forming here. We're trying to push down into that bottom. I think that this price, if it wants to hold this wedge or this channel, I wanted to see it down here at that 420 level and then rotate back up to highs if it's going to continue to rotate to highs. If we're just going to continue to fail, pop up to that 500 level, I would be interested in a short at that 500, but I would have to see something set up for that. Currently that Russell is popping up higher. We do have the S&Ps pushed up into 5280, and it's kind of rejecting there a little bit, but nothing crazy with the rejection. It's just kind of sitting there. So 75.20 on the S&Ps is interesting to me. So all this I'm just watching. It's very, like I said, we're in this little this area here. This whole area is just going to be pretty rangy right now until it picks a direction. Right, we failed to break down here. You grab a lot of liquidity. Now you're pushing upside. You do have VWAP close to being right there overhead. So having that VWAP close could be a target to get up into. Some people use it as an entry point. I'm just interested in this, what's going to happen within this range, and if it's going to break out, or if it's going to hold here and start to rally back up, another push higher, since the Russell and the S&Ps are both pushing higher, and the NASDAQ once again is lagging a bit to the downside. So we'll see, but we do have our espresso, so we're in good shape. That's a good start to the week. If you're over on YouTube, consider heading over to the link in the chat. It's a Tradecaster lobby, 7-day free trial. Once you're done with the 7-day free trial, you'll be able to see me live every day. There's no charge. Once you don't have to pay for that free trial, you just enter that free trial, and then afterwards you just don't have access to some of the education and some of the other paid streaming videos that are in there, like Deckmar and AK-47 and Mamba, I think is also paid. So you just go in there, check around, peek around, see what you like. Like I said, I think the membership is definitely worth it. It's weight in gold. If you could just take a couple good trades from some of us out here, use our levels, use what we got to pay for the membership, then moving forward, you'll have value from there. I think this place over here is very interesting. Obviously, you can see where we're just kind of trapped here. If you wanted to take that Russell long, that was a really interesting. Now it's holding over that 105.90. I mentioned last week that I was going to possibly start to trade the Russell a little bit, and I'm going to consider it. I just got to see a good setup, right? This parabolic kind of move here is not something I want to be interested in. And you got the S&Ps just kind of lingering as well down here, kind of creating this little bit of a wedge as well. It has broke to the upside on that, but I'm not considering that a break yet until it does start to continue on. We got to see what happens at 285 ish, if it's going to get above and then get into that zone there, that rejection zone. So yeah, we're just sitting within this range. We're gonna go over to some of these equities names just to see what we got going on. Right, like you can see here on the trading view chart with the Nasdaq, we wicked pretty hard down here. We didn't quite make it to the bottom end of this channel, but like I just drew this up kind of quick pre-market. It's very crude. It's just a couple touches. It could be more precise, in that area there, and up into there. So pretty much hit right off on it if you kind of adjust it to be for the wicks and getting rid of some of the bodies and using that to draw your channel. So we did reject the bottom of that channel. Do you get a full rotation back to the high end? This kind of week, this holiday shortened week, does price stay range bound in this all-time high area, or does it want to correct from that parabolic move that we had, right? This big push upside, is this going to be a full correction down to the breakout? That's where we want to see, right? We did crack this overarching trend that we've had. We cracked it once, although if you do adjust for this is a new contract, so like I said, this would have to get pulled down, and some of this is kind of not really relevant. It's relevant until it's not. So honestly, this probably could just get rid of that because it's not necessarily relevant. It's two different contracts. We're really more in this range. It's more of a historical reference point than it is anything else. So I'm just watching these key levels that I drew up, these yellow lines. Obviously this and this is a gap close, so we ran right through that on the way back up, kind of cleaned it all up. It's cleaned itself up, so now there's not really that gap of misinformation. So we're back into that all-time high area and we're rotating back down. Is this going to be a failed breakout of this little wedge after that, and then we still continue to rotate back down? And like I said, I think maybe down into that 18,300 sounds reasonable, especially right now. You see Nvidia starting to try and peek its head below that 438.44, which was a kind of a key support level on Friday. And then I think if it does hold below here and start to rotate down, then obviously NQ and everything else will start to follow. We'll take a look at Apple. Apple's been selling off down to 169.90. If it breaks that, then it has down to that 168.98. Microsoft, absolutely falling off the table after it rejected that 427.15 level 2 times. 2 big wicks there. So I don't see much of a buyer here until you get below 422.50. So 422.50 maybe will act as support there on Microsoft. But if Microsoft continues to fall as the market goes as well, like I said, Nvidia has been our leader, and you can see this large sell-off there. But this is just overnight levels still pushed to highs from Friday, so it cleared out the high to basically the penny on Friday, right here on open, rejected it, pulled back down, kind of trying to clean up some of this mess, and then maybe rotate back to that 960 level and beyond. Nvidia is just constantly strong, so having this thing just pushing, march is not out of the realm of possibility, right? And if you do this, you kind of draw this up here just to kind of give yourself a visualization of where price has rejected. Didn't quite get there over there, and then we got to go with some of these. We rejected there. We rejected there. And we're going to watch now, is this going to be the actual break, or is it going to be a false breakdown, rotate back higher? And some of these other names is going to actually have to help us out here, because the S&Ps did the same thing on their chart here, broke down from this little pattern here, but immediately got bid right back up. So if this acts as a rejection and starts to push back higher, breaks back above that 20, let's call it 52.79, the opening range high, then this will start to push everything else higher. But you can see we have been just breaking down. Probably a good short entry there would have been because you had that wick below, pop above, and then now you have that true flush, which is a nice little, you could have grabbed a nice little piece of that. But down to 300 could be what you're looking for here. I'm going to go to, back to that. Did I draw that up? Yeah, 289. You get a breakdown, you get a retest back into that zone there now on a Monday. Then potentially that looks like a good short opportunity. Yeah, I like that. Could have been in on that. Like I said, on this last night, I took the breakdown from here. You could see on this, and then you could see the trades, 1540, 230. I had 3 contracts on, took off. I just had some sell orders down as I went. As some buy orders. Took off one at the bottom of here, took another one off at the low, and then I let the other one ride down, I think, into 30s. So I just went to bed and let it fill. It all filled up, and we made 1227.60 on that account there on the overnight session. So markets move way slower on the overnight, but I saw the opportunity having come into here once, twice, 3 times, failing to break out. I really wanted to. I was at work. I didn't get a chance to mess around with this level or anything on Sunday night. I try to tend to not to do that. I get myself into some trouble trading the overnight session on Sundays, but I just kind of saw that opportunity playing out pretty cleanly with the rejection here. Then you have this sort of head and shoulders type deal here, if you want to call it that, or a rising wedge. I had that breakdown there. We took that short and we rolled it into basically that level, that lower level there. Now we're breaking through those levels, and like I mentioned, that 300 is going to probably be a magnet if we do continue to sell. We're going to have to watch for pullbacks retracements to get some shorts into. Here, 330 maybe, 320 to 330 with these wicks from previous sessions there. Get rid of that. Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm just going to try and see how much funding I can get this week. Let's see if I can pass a couple combines, a couple 50Ks, and go from there. Like I said, last night I'm up 1,200 on that other one, so I'm going to kind of leave that one alone, see what happens. With it, I'm going to watch that 490 level. If this fails to hold below here and is able to get back above that 490 breakdown level from earlier, then this could be a good bounce play. Like I said, you can see it here. This could be just a failed break of the low of this little channel and then rotate back to highs just based on it being a rotational type day. NVIDIA, you see, rejected that low and now is rotating higher. So this could be a confirmation to try and take that long above, but I want to see if it'll get higher and be the bounce more so than it just hammering into it long right here. What was the breakdown point of this little channel? I would call it 40. So we're sitting above 40 right now. So I'm going to watch 40 and see how far we can take it. If it holds that 40 level on a closing basis, then you could potentially look to see, like I said, that S&P failed to break that down. Now is rotating back towards that 79. If it can get over that 79, then the longs are going to probably come back into play here. NVIDIA, Microsoft. There you go. Microsoft looking to push up. Apple bouncing from that 169.82 level. And NVIDIA is now starting to rally. Like I mentioned, if it doesn't accept below here, that rotation higher, and then watch that 960 level for new all-time highs once again. And NVIDIA, try to push that. I will see 47. Right here, right now, we're at that breakdown point. right? You can see it there. You're at that area there. If you want to wait for confirmation, I think realistically, the entry was probably right around there, that 420. You could see that reversal. If you were going to anticipate this being a failed breakdown, then you could look to rotate this back up into either VWAP or that 540 full value area rotation, right? From there to the value area low to value area high. I'm not going to hammer into this right this second. I'm going to watch and see if this is going to be any sort of just a retest and a breakdown. Like I mentioned before, it could be just a come in, break down, retest, and then short again. So I am going to be careful, not just hammering into everything. But you can try your entries with appropriate size. You should be able to get something come along. Oh, I don't know why that popped away. I'll see where this closes on the closing basis because the S&Ps did reject that 279 level. So it's stuck right dead center of its opening range, and as is the NASDAQ. And the Russell is sitting on top of that 2,105. If it can hold that 2,105, that bullishness probably continues on and pushes up. If it fails that 105 level, it could be just some sort of wick off top on there and just continue back down, grab some liquidity, push back down below there. If it accepts below that 2101, then the rotation back to the low of 2088 is probably likely. But you can see this is starting to accept back here into this yellow zone. I want to watch this yellow zone, see what happens here. That was a nice little wick there at the bottom. Up to 500, that 18,498 was that breakdown. Super early in the week. It's Monday. You're not, it's a holiday shortened week. What kind of opportunities are you trying to capture with your trades, right? Like you got to be very understanding of what kind of market conditions there are. You are on the economic calendars here. This is what we're looking at with the economic calendar. You had building permits this morning. That was a bit higher than forecasted. You have new home sales coming at 9, so we got to be standoffish for the next 10 minutes. And the manufacturing index and Fed Cook, I believe he might be a voting member of the Fed, so he may move markets in some way, shape, or form. So this 9 o'clock number, Central Time, which is 9 minutes from now, I would probably hold off and wait to see what happens with those. If new home sales continue to rise, right, then that inflation's probably going to be continuing to be higher. Fed's going to be saying that the economy is a little too hot. So this bullishness currently trying to push back into the market may be just a preamble to this trying to sell back off post number release on new home sales and Fed manufacturing index. So you can see that the manufacturing index ticked up again even though it's down, it ticked up last reading. And then new home sales has been going back and forth. But we are still seeing that, they're looking for it to be 0.67 million new homes. So watch it. You can see there's that nice little wick right below the channel base. It's a failed breakdown. Nvidia's rotating back to highs. Could look to see if this is going to break through that 490 level. Breaks through 490, 500 is obviously coming into play. And then does it rotate back to the highs? Does it get to that 530? And is that number that's going to come out at 9 o'clock, is that going to be that driving factor to push us back to the highs? Is that going to be what's going to push us there? Or is that going to be more of a get to that area and then reject, right? Because that's VWAP there at 493, center of the range. Russell held that 105, so it is bouncing to highs. I would say if it does hold and break the high of the day at 21.12, that 21.22 level could come back into play. That was important on Friday and Thursday of last week. So Russell watching that 21.05 level and the break above the high of the day at 21.11, 21.11.10. No, high, yeah. 21.11.90. You can get basically 21.11.12, 21.12. Then you got that rotation back to 21.22. S&P's wicked the high of the day just now, rejected it, and does have that resistance here at 52.82 and a quarter, sitting right up overhead. So that's the breakdown point from this morning. The pre-market levels. If this does end up acting as a grab here, right up higher, you could look to see if this rotation does continue down. You need to see the acceptance below this level. Once again, that overnight low at 18,456.50. But as I mentioned, that new home sales number comes out in about 7 minutes. So I would just kind of be holding off, waiting until that number comes out before you even decide to really, I mean, unless you're in on that long from the bottom and you just are holding in some profits, maybe shed some or whatnot, going into the number. Or if you have a new strategy that you play, just play your new strategy, but you are going to get some algo movement come, I'd say 857, 858, starts to get a little whippy, spreads start to open up, the bid ask gets a little bit wider, the dome gets a little jumpy, and then that number will come out. Then you're going to start to see that wiki action. Never take that first little move unless that's your play. And then see where that true move is going to end up going for the rest of the day, because that is really the only news event that's coming out. The news event that's coming out, or the biggest number that should come out today, except for that 9:30 Dallas Fed manufacturing. But that's really going to probably continue on whatever you're doing. I don't think it's going to be as important as that. Then tomorrow you got durable goods in the morning, and you got some just random stuff. Wednesday is oil. Thursday you got GDP growth rate, which is going to be that's going to be a pre-market mover. That's what you're going to watch that as well. So just today, right? Bostic talked at 7:25, and at that time we were breaking down, so probably had some rhetoric that was a bit on the side of probably holding higher for longer, something of that nature. And then we're going to see what happens with this new release. NVIDIA is coming up into that 960 area. If it does crack and break above it, then I think NVIDIA has all-time highs in sight, unless that is all-time high now. All-time highs is 973.96 for NVIDIA. But I do think if it cracks that 960, 973 gets tagged, and then if you break 973 at any time this week, you're probably going to hit 1,000, right? If you break that high and you hold here, 1,000 for NVIDIA is not out of the realm of possibility. And then do you get a capitulatory big rip and run on NVIDIA? And if you get that, obviously NASDAQ's going to run. S&Ps will probably follow as well, but it doesn't necessarily mean that some of like the Russell won't follow off of the NVIDIA trade, which actually may make the Russell a more desirable trade vehicle for the time being if you're not into seeing what the NASDAQ is doing based on NVIDIA dragging it up and down and around. When you say, Apple and Microsoft might be down hard on the day, Google might be down hard, but if NVIDIA is up breaking 1,000, you may get some contradicting information from that NASDAQ, right? Which is kind of something you just got to be mindful of, right? That's kind of why this NASDAQ is at that area and the S&Ps are at that all-time high, because some of these names are just grabbing that market cap and dragging it to the upside, while a lot of some of the other names are getting some pullbacks at the time, right? Like if Apple is at lower lows and making new lower lows here at 169s, that's the second largest cap weighted. Well, I think actually NVIDIA might have took over, but in that top three, Microsoft and Apple are all both beaten down. You got Goog is pushing lower, and then you have you saw all four of those names. Let's see, Tesla pushing up a touch, but still on its lows. Amazon pushing up some, Meta pushing downside. So most of the names you see were red, and not just a little red. They're pushing down, kind of. You can see that they're in a downtrend with that Microsoft, with that Apple. Microsoft was at all-time highs today, wicked that 427 level, and is now pushing down. And then you can see to the left, in the NQ is diverging. It's going up while these Mag 7 names are going down. And why is that the case? Because of this guy right here, NVIDIA, looking to crack 960 to push up into that 963 all-time, 973.82 all-time high level. So let's see what this number comes out as. If this number comes out hot or not, it kind of give us a little bit of a peek into the rate cut decision, another peek into how the economy is doing, another peek into what maybe NVIDIA is going to do. Purely technicals, the NQ looked good there on a long from a wick of this channel. I never really trust that first breakdown to be the true breakdown anyway. So, that's what I was watching that there. But if we get back into that 498, 500 level, then it would be interesting to bear in mind if it's going to continue back to the high side of the channel or if it's going to reject and continue bearish down to the lows. And that might all be driven by what's going to happen with NVIDIA come this 959, 960 up to that 973 level. Maybe this new home sales, maybe my clock is off, but I'm pretty sure it's 9:30, 9 o'clock. There we go. Okay. I was going to say, usually if it's coming in, this will start to move. All right, so we'll watch that. And we'll watch. Okay, the number that you want to see, bullish for the dollar, over 0.67, under 6.7 for bearish. Russell pushing up higher. There's the number, didn't come out yet. New home sales reported at negative 0.3, previously at 1.7. So they were forecasting 3%. New home sales reported at 662,000. Consensus was 0.675 million. So that's a beat and a miss. Previous was 664, down to 662. Nothing really market moving because nothing happened. It's kind of just whipping around a little bit. You can see prices speeding up. DOM is getting a little bit choppy, but we are pushing up into that VWAP area. So really you could see 662 as opposed to the previous of 664, and new home sales down negative 0.3%, and the forecast was going to be up 3%. Previous was 1.7. So new home sales being down may be an indicator that the Fed may want to cut rates sooner. So watch that for the anticipated rate cut stuff, and I would just kind of just be cautious on any sort of move right here. Just give it some time, watch your levels. We are at that key level from the breakdown at 18,490, right? Top end of this wedge, this zone that I drew here. Did reject it. If it does break and hold this and then rotates up, I'm not into taking longs right at VWAP. I would like to see what happens around that area, then give myself a better opportunity to make a decision around it. We are, like I said, I did want to see what would happen at that 498, 500 level. So if we can get like a wick off, kind of pop above VWAP, failure, rotate back down, accept back into this level, you could see that rotation back to the low, down to that 420 level again. That's the bottom end of that channel. And then you see if that channel breaks to the lows. NVIDIA still at the highs, hasn't pushed down much. see what Deck has to say. So you have this down, diminishing here. The rejections there. These wicks are very interesting to me. This isn't an exact science with this trend line here, but I am going to be watching this for if it is going to break or hold. Right, it wicked above it twice. It's getting the price is kind of speeding up around it, so I think there is an interest at this level. I think a break above here does push us probably up into that 500 level. You could probably take a quick little grab up into that 500, and then watch for the failure to rotate back downside. I think you could see this probably break. Like I said, I think, but you do see also down here, our delta is starting to round out and create new lows. Like it wants to get heavier, right? If you start to see this get heavier, start to break down below this area here, where this tried to break out the first time, and maybe trying to push up. So if you see it price pushing up and then delta start to push down, that may lead into some selling. I would watch this overnight low one more time, see if it's a bounce or if it's going to flush it. And then also here with this kind of micro trend line, is it going to break here and hold above there? If it does, then maybe you could catch a small long, up into that 500 level. Beyond there, maybe you could hold it. The S&Ps are holding above their opening range high, so we are holding above the opening range high as well here in the NQs. That news to me, with the new home sales kind of showing a little bit of weakness, possibly could give that little bit of faith for people who are looking for this Fed to cut rates as anticipated. So that's really kind of what we're looking at as far as that number helping out or not. I hate to say it, I hate to take a long above close to VWAP, like I said, so I'm going to be really holding off on this, just waiting. I will look to see maybe on the combine to take a quick long on there. Delta's giving you a stronger push there, probably trying to confirm this little break above. But there is this high-end resistance right here at the top end of this box, and then that VWAP right there. But you can see you're getting a bit of a push on it now. Could look to get up into that 500. So if you did think that this was going to be like a little bit of a bull flag type, quick short-term bull flag play, that's something I would be interested to see if will play out. It's nothing that I played personally, right? See, no entries on it, still flat on the day. I'm going to see, like I said, I'm going to try and see how many combines I could try and pass this week. I would like to get 3 of them done. I have one that's about halfway, and then 2 fresh ones. This is a fresh one. Last night I'm up on the other one, so I'm not going to mess around with it. But let's see, a hold and a break above 490 tells me that this is going to be bullish. A failure of that 490 and a rotation back down below this zone here gives me a bearish signal, and probably look to take that short. Combines are funded accounts. I'm going to try and get myself back into a good rhythm so I could get our account back up to where we need to be. But I don't want to keep hammering into things on our account over there and continuing to draw down. So I'm going to try and get into a good rhythm with these funded combines. Once you pass these combines, you get to trade with this company's money, right? That's basically what it comes down to. It's a challenge period with the Top Step. You got to hit a specific price target before you hit your max drawdown, and the drawdown trails with you. So for the $50,000 combine, you got to hit $3,000 and not draw down 2. And on the 100K, I think it's 6 and 3. But I'm doing the 50Ks just to see what could go on. So I'm gonna just be watching this. I'll take this long here on a break above 490. On this combine here, I'll take it with 2 contracts and I'll risk to the low there. But just watching it's got to be break and hold above that 490-ish level 487. All right, on the combine, I'm going to take a long here by 2. And I'm going to risk to the low here. There you go. Pushing up into that 500. Up a bit on it there. Looking to see how much of this we could get. I said that 500 level probably gets tagged, so I'll probably take one off at 500 and then see if we can get any more follow through on that to the other end. So since we're up basically 1 to 1, I'm going to go to break even on that. I want to see if that sell will hold. We're above VWAP. We're holding above VWAP. Right above VWAP there. You can see there. I want to see 500 get tagged. That's what that sell order is right there. We're just going to be patient on it. Like I said, it's a free trade. It's break even on it. I just want to see if that limit order will get that fill, and then see if we can continue to get any more follow through and pop off some more high side on this with just one contract to see how far we can let it run, see if it'll rotate higher. Just based on the way that liquidity kind of grab was this morning, that breakdown was kind of a false breakdown, and we are about to get filled. We're filled on 1, so we're out half on that. So realized up 220, and we're just sitting on a free trade here. I want to see how high up we could get on this with a runner. Obviously, like I said, I'm leaving it at break even, so even if we come back, stop out, it's fine by me. I don't really mind. So I'm going to leave this off to the side. I'm just going to show you on here. The break even is at 492. We are green at the moment. We have realized 280, 220. We're up 220. And we have one runner on, so we have a position on at, what's our entry? Our average entry over there is, let's see. Our average entry is 18,489.75. Long 1 NQ at 18,489 3/4. And we're gonna go green here. Cool. So we have one runner on right now. We secured a little bit. Yeah, this is it's not even a funded one. It's to get funded. I'm trying to get myself back into a better rhythm after being in drawdown. Obviously, this play would have played out nicely for our account, but you know, shit happens. We're just gonna get ourselves back into trading appropriate setups, thinking through these trades a little bit better, so we can stop our drawdown period and then move on. So right now we are looking. We can only make 1,500 on the day with this account. So take profit. We already secured 2, so we'll go with 260 there. If we hit off on that level there, I would be interested in that anyway. That's kind of a good target for this to hit off. Can't make more than that on the day, so I'm gonna go down below 500. If we come back below 500, I think we're gonna get stopped out anyway. So I'm gonna secure that profit there on the trail. Let's just see if we could hit off on that 552.25 level. It probably comes into and starts to resist around that 530. You get into 530 and beyond, I think obviously we'll be able to tag off on that. So we could see what's going on here with ours. I was mentioning that based on this bottom end of this channel here, we took the long. Anything above 498, 500 should rotate us back to the high end of this channel, which is that 541 up to that 550 area. I mentioned that NVIDIA, if NVIDIA does get through 973, I think 1,000 gets tagged at some point, probably even today. If NVIDIA is going to rally, continue on the way it is, then it's just not going to stop. So if we get full profit taking on this, then I'm going to switch over to another combine and see if I can make another 1,500 on that combine. So we're going to let this thing ride out. Very nice. If you want to learn how to do this solely, if you feel like learning how to trade at all in any sense of the way, I would recommend signing up for something like this. If you want to just give it a shot and see what you could do with your hand at it, and then if you want to follow along during the stream, right, you can see how we can make pretty good moves on these trades, and try and be a little bit patient on it. Let these things settle in, pay out, and then you can get your funded accounts and then start to make some money on them. Like I said, this week my goal is to try and pass all 3 of these and have 150K in funding. I'll send you the link. You want the link? Let me get it real quick. It's on my site here. I have a code. It gives you a little bit of a discount, I think. Partnerships. Let me get over there. It is this here. If you go to this page and you go to the top step and click the link, if you're on your phone or whatever, if you go to that and you click the link that says Top Step, it'll take you to the page with the discount or whatever on it. It's like if you want to do the 50K account, it's usually $50 a month. I think this does have a chance to push higher. A reasonable stop. If you wanted to just go and leave it alone, stop at break even. I'm trailing up to that 500 mark because, especially with the 50K combine, you don't have to pass it in one day. You don't have to pass it with one trade. I want to secure as much profits as I can each trade just so I can get into that combine, get through the combine, and get into the funded account as quickly as possible. I've passed, I think, over 20 plus funded accounts and burnt them all here and there just based on doing stupid shit. So my goal with this year, with this stream, I'm looking to try and get these 3 funded and then show you how you can start to build these accounts, get them growing, and get some payouts from them, and also start to grow that other account that we have together there. Go to the partnerships and you go to Top Step. Click the Top Step link on that site. Some day trading coffee company news. Got back a K-Cup test run. It came out pretty good as far as I'm concerned. I got to give it to avid K-Cup users and see what they like about it and what they don't like about it. And I may start to do a pre-sale on our first batch of K-Cups. So if you're interested in K-Cups, let me know. And I will send out that link once they do actually release with the Day Trading Coffee Company. Yeah, it takes a lot of fucking work with the K-Cups, to be honest. It's super expensive to develop, and a lot of the solutions are like unreasonable for new companies. So I found a really good company that has a passion for coffee and they really like what they do. So I'm happy to be working with them. I ordered a tent that has my logos and shit. I'm waiting for that to come. I have 2 big coffee makers, so I'm gonna offer 2 different of our flavors at the outing. You said about 80 people are coming, so I got 2 big carafes. Then I'm gonna try and get some shirts and stuff made up beforehand to bring there with us. I'm gonna have my wife work the table. Do you have a 4th for your 4? I wouldn't mind playing a little bit too. She could work the coffee cable. I gotta order some cups too. I was thinking about getting some custom little paper cups, but I think, especially for an outing, I might not waste my time with it. But yeah, if you end up throwing a foursome together, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just work the table. So price has been slowing down at this area here, you can see, but we are still in a bullish kind of mode. Nvidia got above that 960 and is approaching 973. I think this is what is giving it to. if you can get Temple, then we're good. I'm sure you can get like Mixon or somebody to come in, play, or anybody. Weigel, Rogers, possibly, if you think, maybe. Just get Temple, and we'll get a fourth. So the 520 level is going to be that resistance. 20s usually act for some reason. 80s and 20s, I guess because they're just a nice 20 handles off of a round number, they end up acting as resistance. I don't know what it is about those areas, but they do end up acting as resistance a lot of times. So now that we're trying to accept above, if we could break above that high, that wick high right there, that 2350, we should continue on to the upside. I'm going to leave my stop alone for now until we get up into that 32. Like I said, that 32 is going to act as a pretty strong resistance point, I'm going to guess. If we get to there and you start to see some rejection, I am going to start to trail my stop up if we could get up to there below that 509, 510 level, because I just want to be able to secure some of this. You do see the Russell starting to tick down a little bit. NVIDIA just holding above there. It's going to be like a steady, slow grind up, but that was execution-wise, I think we were very patient. We waited for the right time, right? You see this big push down. Honestly, I was talking about that being the failed breakdown of the channel. However, it could have just continued on, and if you try to hammer in there, then you're just getting run over and getting run over and getting run over. That's something that gets you in trouble. If you wait for the confirmation to get back above the level that you were looking at before as the long area, then potentially now you're on the other end and less likely to have that stop out come in and take you out right away, right? So you're able to secure that first position at 500. Could I have left 2 on and then been done and up 1,500 right there at 20? Yes, I could have. But, being able to secure some of it on a failed, it could have failed and broke down on it right there and been done. So, you don't want to take the chance on that. If you're in on 2 contracts or multiple contracts, enter the multiple contracts and start to shed as you go up. Like I said, on the one I did on the overnight, I went in on 3 and I shed 1 at a time at key levels while I was sleeping. Woke up to a nice $1,200 in profit on that combine. So if we can get this combine up to about 1,500 today, close to it, anywhere 1,000 to 1,500 puts us in good shape to pass it this week. If we can just make some good executions moving forward. Like I said, there is a consistency rule within Top Step, and a lot of these firms, I don't know about all of them, but a lot of them have the consistency rule where you can't make more than 50% of your profits in one trading session. So if the target here is $3,000 for the 50K account, if you hit 1,500, you might as well stop because you're going to have to make more money in more days anyway. So we're going to work on actually passing and showing you that. At one point, I was showing you how to maximize gains and not worried about my trailing, my drawdown, my consistency. So you just got to that 32 level. You can see price sped up, got right there. I'm going to get below 10. You can see it's starting to accelerate. It didn't really even act as resistance. It's kind of grabbing some liquidity there. So I want to be interested in seeing if this is going to start to take off from there. A really nice move. That was $1,000 move right there. Once we can see if we accept and hold above that 32, I may move my stop right to that 32 and then take whatever my profit is between that $1,260 and $1,000, because like I said, you can't make more than 1,500 anyway, and why not just take the money and run and then move on and look for that next trade on the other account. Russell's starting to curl back high side. S&P's is trying to push up to that 52.89. So if S&P's can get up to that 52.89, we should get filled on our target there at 52 and a quarter. We're at 1,200, 1,250. Yeah, so we'll be just shy. If we get filled on this, we'll probably be just shy of 1,500 on that trade. So great move. Like I said, once we got to that 32, is going to act as resistance. So just, don't be scared off by that. But that is an area where it was a breakdown from the overnight. You can see it over here. You got that whippy action. The breakdown happened from here, right there. That was the real breakdown level. 32. I have it as 31 3/4, but 32 was that level. So I have the stop below here at 10. So I'm seeing if we can get back above and hold there, if we can get into accept into that 41 quarter, back above there, 49.50s, really get up into that level. But like I said, that 32 is going to be really important because that is where it broke down from last time. So if we can get back above it one more time, then the stop will get trailed, and we'll see what happens from there. You don't want to give back too much on that, right? After that kind of move that you had there, you did execute really well on the rotation. Just like I said, I mentioned that level could act as some good resistance, so we want to see what happens around it. I don't want to be shook out of it just because we got to it. If we had 3 contracts, let's say, or if we had 2 and we were looking for that to be our first target, let's say we're just trying to maximize this move without having a profit target for the combine. Maybe you take 2, if you take 3, or if you took, I don't know how you would like to structure it, where you take multiple contracts, even if you're trading micros, let's say, and you took 5 or 10, you took off half at 500, you take off 3 here at 31, because that's a clear, obvious level of where there's going to be some resistance, some orders, price is going to get drawn to that level. And so all price wants to do is get pulled to levels where it will get filled, right? It's facilitating orders, and that's what trading is. It's just the chart, and the price wants to get to areas where trade will get facilitated. And currently that 31 3/4, 32 up to 30 to 40 was a pretty key level. And we may get stopped out on this now based on that retracement, but if it holds here and continues on upside, then we have our stop in a good spot. I said 510 as the level because I think it wants to get drawn to that 20 level. Like we're drawn to it right now. We're at that 20, but we're still in good shape. Still looks like it wants to get to, like I said, that level right there, that 31.75. I'm going to be very mindful of that. So I'm going to give you that little line there in the sand. That 31.75. I'm going to leave it as 31.75. I want to get above that. If we can get above that 31.75, we are going to move our stops probably just below it, because I want to secure that move now, because I think if it does reject a second time, you may get that pullback deeper and get stopped out anyway, right? We're just playing probabilities here. What's the probabilities that if it holds above 31.75, that it comes back and hits 10 before it hits 52? And that's really all I'm trying to do here, is put the odds in my favor and then maximize any sort of gains that I can get on that end of the trade. So if you want to just understand what we were risking here, about for $500 on that to try and make about $1,500 on the trade. We were risking 2 contracts. I was going to try and hammer out below here if it failed kind of quickly below 80. I had my emergency stop down here. It's below this swing low, but I did anticipate that it was going to go right away. So if it didn't go right away, then we were going to have to get out and bang out manually if it went down below 80 to only risk, the allotted risk that we wanted to give it. But currently in good shape, pushing up higher, just being a lot more patient, doing our best to just let the trade do what we expected it to do, give it the room to breathe on the way up. And in this environment, based on the news, especially that release at 10 Eastern, diminishing home sales does show some slowing in the economy, which does give people who are pricing in rate cuts that opportunity to kind of get a little bit more optimistic that there will still be rate cuts, even though they're being a little standoffish on it with their releases, saying that they need to see yada, yada, yada. So that kind of leads you to believe that that is going the right direction. S&P is just trying to push back lower, rejecting the highs, just as the NASDAQ is at 5283. If that breaks, then we're probably going to get stopped out on this at up about 600, 800 now. Yeah, I want to get back above that 32. That's when I'll move the stop. Some people don't trail their stops. They just let their thing ride, and if it goes back down, they'll just manually bang out. To me, I'll take the fill and secure $400. Can't be mad at that, especially if this was a funded account. You're in a live account. You're making real money. Why not secure that money, right? It's not the end of the world. It's just managing it the way you anticipate the price to move, and your time horizon on how long you want to hold the trade and where you want to be in the next hour, or what you want to be in the next 5 minutes. What do you want to do? Trading is all dependent on what you're doing currently, lifestyle wise, and everything like that too. So if you only have a certain amount of time to trade and you're not looking to swing trade and hold positions long term, then you need to secure profits as they move in your direction, take your base hits, and then move on. You just got to understand price can only go so far in a certain amount of time based on what you're looking at. And this wick off high here tells me that if it does want to reject here and get below and hold below 20, then a rotation probably all the way back to our break even happens. So why would I want to get stopped at break even when I can take off $415 and change, already being up to? So, just let it do its thing. But I'm gonna let the stop do its thing. I'm not gonna hammer out and take 500 because it's at 5. Trying not to trade the P, not trying to trade the price action. Some S&P's dipped below that low and then popped right back up. So hopefully the Nasdaq will just stay strong and hold that level. Looking at the Nvidia trade, Nvidia kind of not giving you that powerful move up into 973. So I think it may grind. If it does hold this 960 and grinds up higher, then you may have that. And we're stopped out with flat for plus 634 on that trade. So we gave back about about $400. So we're flat on that, up 634 on the trade. So that's pretty good. I will accept that as a properly managed position. I put my stop in a location where I thought if the price comes to this level, then it's likely to get back to my break even anyway. So I don't want to just get back all of it. I'll take some and move on. So we're up 634 on the day. We're going to just look for another opportunity, right? This may now be that wick off low and then rotate to the highs, but you could kind of see that this could even become some sort of little head and shoulders type deal and want to maybe rotate back down again. So we are just watching, being selective in our moves. I talked about how I anticipated this to come right to that 532 level and be the resistance. We talked about why we thought the long was going to come in, that this was more of a manipulation, get down to the bottom of that channel, come back up. We failed that low. The break above this short little trend line here, it was nothing that I thought was super important, but it was price building up. You got that data release. Once that data release came out, you popped above it, got some people involved, stopped them out, and then that's when the true move came. So we took the long from there, 2 contracts. Got one off at 500 because 500 key psychological level could turn around right at VWAP. Let's make sure we secure at least our risk, mitigate it some. So we took off one and we ran up that other one. Just got stopped out here just below at 18,510. Ended up being where we got stopped. The reason we got stopped there is because I wanted to trail as we broke 531. If this was going to continue on and get us, completely filled, so be it. That would have been excellent. I wanted to let it give itself a chance to get back above that level to rotate back into the high to take us out and get that full take profit on it. I wasn't willing to get it to rotate all the way back down. So to get stopped out at 510 is where I wanted to take that off. I'm okay with that for now. Now I'm going to have to just watch and see if we can get anything. I'm going to delete this. Delete that. Maybe look to add something like this. You can see we are pushing now below that. So if that's anything that you're looking at on a shorter time frame, could have got stopped out. If you were really thinking this was going to happen here, you could have got stopped out, up here for another couple dollars. Nothing much more, $100-something. But honestly, I think that out was appropriate. Just being below here, any sort of move above should have continued on. Russell just dipped below that 2105 and is kind of trying to hold. S&P's is rotating back down as well. Oh, nice. So you can see we're trying to rotate back down into that VWAP area. You can see some of these wicks trying to grab some liquidity down here, down into that 500 level. I would anticipate maybe another rotation push higher. Watch out for a lower high up into that 531 and then see what happens. Thinking about this trail again, we did close above here. Honestly, a close above that 31.75 could have trailed it up into there and secured 400 more to make us for an even 1,000 on the day. But like I said, we had a plan and we were trying to maximize the gain on it and not trying to bang out too early, right? This could have just been a stop run here to run us higher again. Also, but like I said, we did get a good diminishing delta. We're getting price to try and push back up. Watch price at 531. If it rejects 531, to rotate back down, potentially to lower ends. Get a little close to this. I'm going to adjust this camera some. Does that work better? Too high. That's better. Cool. Mm-hmm. You see that big push there. Delta not catching up though, so let's watch, see if Delta does push above there. It'll maybe make some sense. I would be interested at 531 to see. Russell is kind of curling down. A breakdown of 2105.90 on the Russell probably rotates you down to 2101.40. I would be interested in that. Nvidia is still, just kind of slowly pushing its way to the high side here. I can go with a 5-minute. You can see kind of creating a little bit of a lower high here on that level there. If it cracks below 959, 960, 959.03, obviously that level acted pretty strong there. So we'll go with that exact level. Breaks through there, rotates back down. If it holds here and breaks highs, 973 does get touched, and then beyond all-time highs. NASDAQ looking like it wants to get itself all the way back into the high end of the channel, right? Pushing right up to that 531 level. So here's that. You can see the if you can get that entry at that 105, 106 level and risk, and then down into that 104, 101.40 could potentially be a nice little move there. But you can see it's still one of those, it's like a channel as well. So this isn't quite a confirmed breakdown yet, but the S&P's trying to push lower as well. NQ made a lower high there. Could be a short opportunity coming in. Watch this reversal pattern coming in. I am looking at Nvidia here. I would like to see maybe a wick top here. Get this tilt a little heavy. I'm watching this level here. I think this is going to be an important level coming up right now. Tilt got a little bit long, but not quite enough. I think we got out at a good spot. I think I'm I want to see this. Oh, I don't know if I'm on the right screen there. Here we go. We got a 10. I want to watch this if it breaks down a little below 90. I want to short the Russell. Let's watch this NQ. Any tilt there? I want to see if NVIDIA will sell. If NVIDIA will sell off here, you may get that rotation back through that 500 level, 497, 498 level. And then you got a rotation down to that 938.44 for NVIDIA. And that will kind of really show the hand of the day, I believe. Because there is a lack of follow-through on that move there. 31, I did say that there was going to be some good resistance. S&P wicked the low, and now it's trying to push down again. Let's see, it's at 52.83 and a quarter. I want to see if S&Ps can push lower below 52.82 even. If it can hold below 82, then there's a chance that it continues to rotate back down. You could see the S&Ps right here, looking to see if it'll hold this or if it's going to break that level right there. That was the breakdown level from the last night. You can see it wicked it a couple times, but now it's looking like it wants to reapproach it. I would like to see which direction it decides to head. NQ, once again, just kind of basing out here, potentially looking to push higher only because of NVIDIA. However, NVIDIA was sitting on top of this level as well. So if it does any sort of push down, then watch out. The Russell also pushing down some as well, broke back down through the 105.90 level. So I'm watching that. I'm going to just be watching. Watcher. Bum, bum, bum. If you're looking at Apple rotating lower, Microsoft, that's not Microsoft. Microsoft trying to push back higher. Getting into that resistance level there, though. That's pre-market lows. And let's go with Google. Google bounced some. And NVIDIA is the monster player here. I want to see Apple again real quick. Apple. I want to see if Apple will rotate through 169.82 or if it's going to hold and bounce. That'll also kind of continue this rally some. Microsoft does not like to play with me nicely. Yeah, down up into that 425.50. Do have that resistance there, so Microsoft would need to hold that there. NVIDIA. There's NVIDIA rotating down. Oh, keep falling down. What does the IWM look like? The IWM is the Russell ETF, same as the SPY. So you can see kind of flushed the low and now is trying to rotate back into that 206 level. But IWM does have if it does break down, has down into that 202. Then you have SPY. If you're going to go into these type of ETFs, SPY was at the top end of a little pattern, broke down, now is rotating back lower again, has down to some support down here, quite a ways away at the lows. And then you got QQQ, which is the Q's ETF,
which is obviously rejecting that high, that high right there that we just saw. Same deal. Has down into that 444.20, even that 444 even, right? So if you start to get some selling, this is going to be important to watch the low at 444.30. And then, like I said, we'll see if AMD was at highs. It broke through that pre-market high. AMD was kind of beaten down, and then now it's trying to rally some, but at the top end of a wedge and a channel. If NVIDIA doesn't pop and AMD, if NVIDIA starts to falter, I think AMD does follow as well. So looking at those names kind of incongruence there in the Soxhole sector there. I got to lower this fan. It's too cold in here. All right. I want to see NVIDIA fail that 959.03 level. That'll kind of give us a rejection of that level that we were looking at here. You kind of see that wick off top, giving you a little bit of a congestion, and this price going to break up and above that 31.75, or is it going to rotate back down to 90? Let's see which one happens first. S&P's danced again with that 282 and a quarter level. Coffee time. No, it's sweating. Alrighty. Playing that short through 282 on the S&Ps down into that bottom end, probably the opening range high, if that's going to be what you're looking at here. And then the NQ would have down into VWAP, down into the breakout point at 500, you know, it's kind of a key level. So we're going to watch that. We're going to watch those two. Top step. There you go, a little bit of a breakdown. Why? Because NVIDIA is looking like it doesn't want to hold, possibly. Let's see if that's the case. S&P's cracked through that 2082. If NVIDIA cracks here, I would see if this NQ does follow as well. Maybe take a quick short position on it, rotate it back down to the low and see what happens for you. But being above VWAP doesn't help much at all. So I would watch it, be mindful of it. S&P's got a hold below 2082.25. You can see S&P is holding below 52.82 and a quarter. Like I said, I think if it does hold that, you get down into this trend line here. See if that cracks. That 52.80, 52.79 is that opening range high. So that's also what you're watching. And you can see the NQ is just flattening out, kind of not catching any sort of bid. So if you don't get a breakdown here, I would be anticipating some sort of long kind of breakout. However, with the way the NVIDIA move is happening, cracking that 959 now, giving you that added weakness coming into here. So potentially look to see this rotate downside some. Some, not a lot, some. Let's see what happens if it continues to flush. That is holding below that 959. Like I said, you gotta watch that 500 level. If the 500 level holds, then maybe you get a bounce. But if it doesn't hold, 500 could go, then this could go. So that 490 level, once again, that break where we played our long, you could play that short kind of through there as well, potentially. Because it will be below VWAP, and then now you're actually getting some movement to the downside. You're getting the S&Ps to rotate down, right? Like I said, right to that 5280 level is going to be important. And now we're looking at this. That 500 level has got to hold. NVIDIA is still holding below that 959, 960 level. So, important. Rejecting VWAP. Patience, patience, patience. Kind of waiting to see what'll happen with this level. I don't want to play it exactly off this bounce or anything like this, but it could bounce from that 500. Being above VWAP is an important level, but it also could flush from here as well. Russell's starting to curl some. S&P still holding below that 5282. So that's important to note. Held VWAP. S&P is trying to tick above 5282. NASDAQ rolling again because NVIDIA is holding below that 959 level. A good flush could come in at any moment right here. Once NVIDIA starts to hold below key levels, it does tend to start to sell because people start to get fearful of losing out on their gains that they've absolutely probably crushed on with NVIDIA. So the sells do come in kind of hard, but then it starts to get bid back up again. So, I would be minding that 938 level, but I think if it does start to sell and it does continue to hold below 960, any breakdown below 953, you might see a hard flush to the downside. But then if it holds above that 960 level, then you should start to continue to see the rally come back in. So this level is very important. But if you start to see sellers start to pour in, I would watch that 938 first and then see if you can maybe catch a bounce down here and then rotate back through the highs. IWM is curling up. S&Ps is curling back up above 5282. NASDAQ not quite. So it is lagging some because I think this NVIDIA play and Apple holding below 170 and Microsoft rotating down. So the Mag 7 names are weakening, which does lead me to believe that this may continue to come out and sell. And you get a little biscotti in here. A little bit of biscotti in here. Never hurt nobody. A little biscotti, a little coffee, a little trading. Nothing better than that on a Monday morning. Looking to see this rotate back down through 490. That 490 level to me will be very important. It's really more like 500, but I like 490 here just based on the way the price action acted, right? With this zone. But we are holding above VWAP. It is kind of, I don't like the short, slow moving markets because a break above here possibly looks for a little bit of a push back above where we were. Nvidia still holding that level, but it's moving very slowly. Nvidia for the day. I'm gonna start using these charts here. There's your Russell bull flagging on a 5. But also be mindful of that breakdown as well. From here. Then you have down into this level there at 208, and then down into lows. That's a good spot. Just looking left. Anything above overhead wise obviously is that high there, and then above that high on the Russell you got that there. S&P NQs are rolling. ES also pulling back. You can see, oh man, a little bit Scotty down the wrong pipe. How you doing? All right, down there. See that sort of forming up. Well, you have this large move here on Friday and Thursday and Friday, or Wednesday to Friday. I would watch this to bounce some. It held that, it's like a higher low here. Nvidia holding below that 960. I mean, like I said, this doesn't really give me any opportunities to make any sort of trade here, because you can see we're right at that level. Maybe if you get a wick on the high, you could see it grab and rotate down, or if you rotate down through 490, then you get a lower low. But that's just all dependent on sort of that Nvidia move. If it does, like I said, if Nvidia does get below that 953 3/4, even down below 955, this could push lower, but I don't really anticipate that happening. Nvidia is just so uber strong. You know, that could hold there. Apple's trying to break through a high. Microsoft looking to crack higher. So maybe potentially this does continue to rotate back to the high end of this channel before it decides to sell off some. So maybe we're going to look to see if we can short that if it gets up to that 560 area for a rejection of this. 558 to 560 would be another spot where I would be interested in shorting. 568, that's the high end of the channel. 558 to 560 is that area right there. But, even this, that 594. So I would probably even be more patient and wait for that 594, a failed break above that wedge, and then a breakdown. But these names are starting to pop a little bit. So this same deal that we had down here, you're starting to get right there, right? This flagging pattern, possibly look to get above that 531. And then if you could break it down from there, or this could be a failed breakout. Like I said, this is a very indecisive area for me. I mentioned that's the reason we kind of got out of that. We trailed out. That target was that 531, that initial rejection area, and you can see that wick off high there. S&P is just gaining a lot of strength, so I would be cautious on anything else. Microsoft curling. Apple popped. Nvidia still holding that level lower. I'm going to watch this 31 level and see if that's going to be really any sort of key for this here. $10 should get some movement now. I think possibly we can take that long through 31 with the Nvidia looking to get some strength there. So we are going to try that. I'm going to take 2 here. See if we can get it above. We only can capture about that much more. So I don't want to lose 1,000, but Nvidia breaking out the highs. I want to see if it'll get up to that 60 level, 53, 60. So for us to capture another 1,100, really you can only capture up to that 58. I'm giving it a shot here. One shot for this. I'm not risking that whole amount. If it does start to fail on us, we're going to get out. But I did take that long there on the breakout. I want to see if this break here is going to hold. It seems like it wants to now, momentum-wise, above that level. I do want to hammer out if we start to get below that 515-ish, 520-ish level. If it starts to hold and give you some flushing. But Nvidia pushing upside gives me that sort of idea that it may want to go. If we get above 31, I'm going to trail it below that quick. Just try and capture some of that move. Okay, see what happens at 31.75. There we go. Alrighty, I'm going to go to break even on that. I don't want it to come back on me. It should go. If it's going to go, it's going to go right now. This kind of move here usually happens pretty quickly. I'm going to be just past break even. So I'm going to let this thing try and just give you a big pop through 31.75. Kind of just how I did it over here. Could just secure one at the top of that. And then just let the rest of it run up to 90. But, I mean 60. So I'll go down to 1. I can mark it out at the top of that if I see any sort of rejection. There we go. go. There's a push up. I want to get above it though. Get above that 31.75. If we get above 31.75, we should hold it, and it'll probably give you a good pop, like a nice little whip action up to that 40-ish level, like pretty fast. But if not, if it rejects here, then it could be just a rotation back down lower. I would update the position board, but I'm kind of just focused on this right now. We are long 2 from 18,525 and a quarter. So like I mentioned, we were waiting for that patience to come in to play. 10 o'clock came in. NVIDIA started to rotate back higher. You can see NVIDIA pushing higher, really dragging this market up. I saw the S&Ps and the Russells start to pop off, so I thought the NASDAQ was lagging just a touch. So I gave it a little bit of a shot long here. And I want to see if this will hold above this 31.75 or if it's going to fail. We're at break even, so it's really just a free trade here. We're going to let it dance around this 31 level a little bit before we decide to move our stop. If we can break the high of this wick currently, we will move our stop to 31.75 and then see if we can get this thing to run up to highs. Because like I said, if it does get above it, it shouldn't fail it. Looking at this, Delta didn't quite play along, but we are still pushing up higher. So I don't see a fail, like a immediate failed rejection. So, but you're also not getting that great follow through right off the jump. So it may fail pretty quickly. This is an important level, like I said. That's why it's dancing around. There's liquidity here. There is orders to be had. There's decisions to be made here. So let's see what happens. But like I said, NVIDIA ripping up is going to drag this up. It doesn't matter what anything else is doing at the moment. That's the way it's been the last few months, so I'm going to just play along with that. It's got to get above that wick. If it gets above that wick, we're going to move our stops right to that 31.75. And we're going to move right to the bottom of this candle here. Secure about $160 on that. And now let's see if we can get this to run up to our target. Target would have been 60. We can't make that much. So we're going to see. We're going to let it play out. I'm going to bang out one potentially above 41. Actually, I did mention I want to take one off at 40. So I'll take one off at 40. No, I'm going to leave one on. Above here should get us to at least get one off. $42.50. So I said 40. I was going to front run it to 50. So we still wouldn't have got filled on it. It seems like it's rejecting now. Hopefully that 31.75 could hold. And then we get to secure a bit more of this. If this is going to be a confirmed break above here and hold, and it should rotate to that target, it will hold this level here. If not, it's going to whip it and then run it down, and it's going to run it down hard and fast. So we'll be out on this if it does grab us and go. But 31.75 is that level, right? You can see how well it's been holding. It was resistance, resistance, resistance. Now it's acting as support, support. We should not break down through it again if it's going to continue on to the upside. If it's going to fail and rotate down, it's a different story, right? You can see NVIDIA getting to the top end of that little wedge. I think we can get to the top end of the channel. We did secure 160 below this candle here. So, and we're going to take one off at 42, and then the other one's going to come off at 58.50. Depending on what I'm going to move that, depending on the if we get that one off and how much more we can make on the day on this account. I don't care who that is. All right, so we're pushing back up high side there. Looks like we should get that fill at 42.50, I would guess. That would be a break of the high of the day. Russell rotating some, but kind of creating a bull flag. This is becoming a rising wedge. It's something that I like to look to see if I could short sometimes at key levels. So I would be careful on the follow through. So that's why I am securing that profit there at 160. But like this 31.75 is acting pretty strong here. If we get whipped out, we get whipped out. Just kind of how this works. But like I said, I don't want to be involved on a total flush of this level, because then you probably get stopped out for a full loss on it, realistically. So I want to secure some of that. Now it's acting as resistance. There you go. We're out. Flat and all. So we're up 788 on that. We'll take that. We'll update that position board. Up 788. There's that. See that breakdown? We did not secure the breakdown. To me, there shows a lot more weakness than anything else. I'm sorry, I'm trying to focus on this here. Okay, so that breakdown, like I said, this is what I look for a failed breakout. So we're at a key level. If NVIDIA rolls over, this continues to roll downside, then you may really get some real big move to a fast move to downside. Not necessarily huge, but a fast move from that key level. Made a lower high at a key level, came into here, tried to hold, is acting as resistance now. You see NVIDIA maybe trying to break a little bit up higher, but I would be cautious on it. ES, you can see lower high, may want to push back into this trend line here at 52.80. Remember that level, 52.82 and a quarter down there. Why is there no volume on this? I forgot that. NVIDIA, I want to see the thing rotate down now. If this is going to be what I'm looking for in a short, I almost wanted to flip in short on that when we took our profit there. You could see how that rotate to the other end, like you saw every time it came on top of that 31 here, it was holding. It flipped above it, it held, and then when it broke it with some conviction, right? There was some real push down there. Now, are we grabbing liquidity here to now rotate it back through that 31.75? I would watch it. I would be mindful of it, but I also don't trust the breakout of it at the moment, right? Because it's just not confirming. You do still see NVIDIA kind of wedging out here. So how long will NVIDIA wedge? Will it wedge the rest of the day? Will it come down to the bottom end of here? Will it reject this? Will it bounce off of that 959? That's something that we're going to have to be watching for this NQ to either break or bounce. And then you got Apple, right, rotating back down, also driven by this, and Microsoft as well. So what's AMD doing? It broke highs. Now you got NVIDIA here. That's what we need to see. That 960 line in the sand acting important. Watch 31.75. Is this was that a false breakdown, or is this going to be now another lower high? Use 31 as an entry to rotate short, or is it going to be now a launching point? Very important level. $31.75. I'm going to write it up here just for our visualization's sake, because that's where I think it is important for us, right? You can see it there. However, I guess at overhead, you do have this higher end channel, right, that it wants to kind of be drawn to, right? The higher end of that channel. And then maybe you get a break. I'm going to put this arrow here because this was definitely important, right? That little area of a bounce, high volume bounce. There's NVIDIA failing. NVIDIA's failing that level. If it does break the 960, watch the bottom end of this wedge. Then also we're going to be watching this. I'll put this NQ down to 5 so you can see it a little bit better, right? Rejecting it. 3 pretty decent wicks. This wick there, you know, you're building into a short position potentially here to rotate us back down. Potentially. I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen, but it's kind of what it's the story that it's telling you. I'm running this combine here. I will watch it. I will consider selling one if I see NVIDIA hold below that 960. And since we're up 7, you don't want to give much of that back. I would like to keep that as much as I can, but I do think that you can maximize this to the downside some. You can see it's starting to get heavy. Price is starting to get heavy. Failed breakout, key level. Like I was mentioning, that rising little wedge pattern that I said I was talking about, that's what I like to short at a key level. Came in, there's the key level, there's the short, retest, short again. If we can get through these levels here at 20, then I think the sell is on. Get down through 20. Back to that level again. NVIDIA, you see, it's based purely exactly off of NVIDIA's chart here. So that's what we're looking at. So apparently AMD is running, NVIDIA is running, NQ, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, AMD pushing high side. All right, if NVIDIA cracks this high here, then it's going to possibly that 973 from here. And then you got NQ right there. Broke back above it, so that's why we didn't just hammer into a short, right? I said we need to confirm below that 520, but you still have yet. I mean, we would have just barely got off on that. I think that might have ticked us out. No, I wouldn't. Maybe it might have got our fill there, but still not trusting that as a breakout until it holds and rotates of some, and then breaks the high and holds. Break the high and hold. Rotate up to that 58.60 level, and then see what happens at that 58.60 level, maybe potentially for that short to come in heavier. S&P has a lot of overhead wicks. A bunch of wicks here on the overhead. So, and then you have, we're holding that NQ above 31.75, but how long can we hold that? How long can we hold this? Is this going to be that flush again? Was that a stop run to rotate lower? Kind of just talking out what I think in my head at all times while I'm trading. You know, are these liquidity grabs? Are these stop runs? Is this a confirmed move? Is this not a confirmed move? What am I getting? Is there good volume? Is there not good volume? These are kind of the thoughts you have to have as an intraday discretionary type trader at key levels. Look at that. Like, look at the wick action here. Grabbing liquidity, grabbing liquidity, grabbing liquidity. If that's telling you that there's somebody here that's not willing to allow price to get higher than that 32, 31.75 level, you could rotate right back down into that 500 level just because that's where it's just trying to find the where that price will allow it to go through. And that's what, you know, is it going to go above? Is it going to go below? Or are we going to just find that area where we could facilitate more trades? You know, is it going to be at the lower end or is it going to be at the higher end? And it potentially, you know, like I said, depending on what AMD and NVIDIA, the only reason I say AMD is because AMD is kind of dragging NVIDIA around with it. But I think with NVIDIA, not showing a ton of strength. That means that I feel like there's way more volume pushing into AMD than there is into NVIDIA at the moment, just probably because of the price point. But you could see that NVIDIA is not moving around very, very firmly. Apple failed. Microsoft just not quite pushing higher. So with Apple failing, and right at that, look at that. Was that a true breakdown to 20, or is that a failed break? Looks like it wants to go down. Does that sweep the lows to push us higher? Potentially. $31.75. Try it. That's just such a. It's just dancing around this level, right? It's not really telling you much, but there is. It's just something that you should be noting. This is a key level. This is what we should be paying attention to. Why are we here? What are we doing? All that stuff, you know? That's what we're looking for. It looked like wick grab, and then but down here also the same deal. S&P's though does show that it kind of wants to get back into that 52.82 quarter. Rejecting. I don't hate that one. I'll sell one contract here. I'll give it one. I'll give it to the high. And I want to see if I can get it down into there. Just on a failure of that level again and again and again and again, I feel like maybe this next breakdown, I'm kind of front running it a little bit. I'm only risking a small portion of this, 250, 285. I'm risking to the high there. I think if we can fail this level again, then we can rotate downside. It's just taking a shot at it on the combine here with the NVIDIA roll. This kind of just seeming like it wants to fail that level for some reason. It just doesn't want to pop off. And I don't see the strength in NVIDIA that I would expect to see up here, especially with that. It's kind of just floating. There's that. You break this 20 level, you should get a hard flush down. 52.82 quarter is coming in on the NQ, the ES. So let's watch this. See what we can do with this short. We're only short one. Like I said, not a huge position, just one contract. Just looking to see if we can feel this trade out. Kind of just talk through lower high. Volume wasn't there on the breakout. You know, a lot of things that were kind of acting in our favor. This sort of seemed like a liquidity sweep maybe at the bottom here. So if it does hold above 31.75, you know, maybe bang out. But really, like, just because it's winding up, but just the lack of follow through of NVIDIA, and you could see it, just all that overheads, you know, on this chart here, you can see the overhead wicks just kind of holding us down. So I'm not sure if it's ready to break out yet. I would like to see it rotate just back down to the low here. Not even anything huge. Maybe to VWAP. A rotation down to VWAP isn't a terrible idea. If we get close to that area down here, I will move my stops down into like the 510 area where we got stopped out before. That's where I would like to see this price get drawn to, at least to the bottom end of this. Just you see these wicks there. Okay, so you can see that. if this does fail this, I don't want to be involved above 31.75 because I think that's, like I said, that's the important area. I don't want to risk to the highs. If it blows out past, I'm only going to risk 80 bucks on this. It's giving you an idea on a trade, how to kind of limit your risk on it. It's a very cheap trade, right? 80 bucks, risking one little portion of that gain there. Just giving it to see if it'll flush that 20 level and hold. If it's going to continue to just sweep it and kind of rotate higher again, I'm just going to want to be out, right? I don't want to be involved at, where do I have it, at 32. So anything over that 31.75, I don't really want to be involved anymore. Well, maybe even over that 32, 33, but it is what it is. I think we're starting to see that heaviness come in. You can see NVIDIA at that point, right? 959 quarter. Does it flush it? If it flushes there and gets down to this little bottom end of the wedge, then this trade does still make sense. So I want to break below 520. If I can get below 520, I'm going to move the stop to break even. This is a cheap short for me, right? Like I said, it's not something I'm looking for a huge follow through on, but it is something that I expect to just give you a little bit of a rotation back to the other end of the range that it's been in for the day, based on the lack of follow through on a push to the high side. I think if I can get through 20, then you should get the rotation lower. But if you don't, then it may just continue to rally on up and through, and that's why I want to be out where I'm out. You see, rejected that 960, so I'm probably gonna get stopped out here because NVIDIA is going to show some strength. So you can see we risked 80 bucks. We were up 100. Wanting to see if that 20 level would break now, right? That's really what we're trying to see here. And like you just saw, that resistance acted as resistance again. 31.75 acting as a selling point. If it gets above it, it's going to rally to the high and you're going to want to be out anyway. So I want to be out there. If it wicks it, it wicks it. And I'm out for a small loss. But if we get through 20 here, then we'll be at break even. Then it's a free trade. Then you can see if you can maximize your gain to the downside. Just purely on failed breakouts. I like to play failed breakouts. That's really my bread and butter. I find that the failed breakouts happen. There's 20, so we're past break even. So there's that flush. You can see price start to get speeding up. I think now we'll trail as we get to 10. If we get to 10, we'll go to 20 and kind of go 10 points per. Right, so if we get down to this area here, that the bottom ends of those wicks, we'll go to 20. You can see why I took that trade. I kind of talked out everything about the thought process behind why it was going to do what it was doing, and to see how much follow through we could kind of get on it. Right, it just got right to that bottom end of that wedge. If NVIDIA can't break the bottom end of the wedge, and if it holds and rotates back higher, we're going to be out for break even. If NVIDIA breaks that low, there's a chance we take off this pretty fast, but it looks like NVIDIA wants to hold that wedge low, right? And then 960 level. So probably get stopped out for break even, plus $40 or so. Like I said, I just went past break even. A flush of 20 to me told me that it was probably going to try and hold, but if it doesn't and it starts to rally from there, then I don't want to be involved anymore. It's just a quick, cheap trade, like I said. I don't want to be involved. So we're flat. Still, we're up 826. Still secure, just a little bit on that trade there. Still nothing to be upset about. Well, up, anytime your P&L goes up, it's always good. 826 flat. All right, so we're up 826 on this combine. Could it keep going lower? Yes, it could. I probably will. Maybe I should have left the stop at 31.75 just to give it some room, but I was trailing every 10 points. I was going to trail 30 to 20 to 10. So if it got to 10, I was going to go to 20 and just had a plan prior to the trade. So it got me out. So buttons. And you just look for the next one. I think realistically, this looks heavy. It was all because of the bounce off that. If the NVIDIA breaks this trend line lower, then we do get a bigger flush. rejection here. See, this is why I took it down past break even, because, like I said, I think that 31.75 is more of like a magnet. It's going to just keep getting drawn to it. Who knows when it's going to decide that it's going to break or become that just big sell point. But right now, it's still holding below it. Nvidia is still holding below 960, 959.03. This key line here, plus that this wedge pattern here. This is 1, 2, third touch on it. We got lower high, lower high, lower high. I mean, NQs is trying its best to hold this level, but I don't know how long it can. With Microsoft kind of just basing out and flattening. Apple also trying to make lows, holding below 179, 70.29. Still has down to 170 as support, though. 169.82. NVIDIA roll. I want that NVIDIA. Today could be a great day if NVIDIA decides to just melt its face off, because even if I'm not in a position like this, I could say that this short position looks really great right now because I'm, just talking about it. I've had entries in it. I've taken it. I haven't really been wrong on it. I've just taken base hit on it. If NVIDIA can just melt off and just recover, give some sort of pullback, some breather, that'll give the NQ a reason to pull back, take a breather, do what it's doing. And then you'll be back into levels where you could really make and execute good decisions off of those levels. Back into zones where there's been some liquidity, back into zones where, you're not flirting with all-time highs. I don't want to flirt with all-time highs very much because it just doesn't give me great opportunity personally. I like it to be into old levels, liquidity zones, things where I can make good decisions based off of old levels. Right now you're trying to play with that level again. But you can see NVIDIA trying to push downside. So I think we're diverging a touch. It's who's going to win, right? Look at this chop around that level, though, in the 1 minute. Tilt's a little bit heavy long, 60% long. You could take that short again from there based on that NVIDIA. Trying to break that low, that area there. If it cracks 955.50, there goes. There she goes. Selling one. Selling one on the NVIDIA weakness. I want to see NVIDIA give me a nice pullback down into 938.44. Give some sellers some opportunity today. How about that on a Monday? 52.82 quarter for S&P is coming into play again. If it breaks down, then I think everything follows. Holding below that low there. Made a new lower low. So that's why I like that short there, because NVIDIA made a lower low. Waiting on this thing. I'm trying to get it to go based, like I said, based on NVIDIA failing, but it just doesn't want to continue through. Yeah, you get stopped out. You get stopped out on it. It's all good. But like I said, I just so much here to go it should have been trying to go long already if it was going to try and go. It is a little bit of a bull flag. However, I did get short at the wrong area of it. Probably should have got short up there at 31.75. But I like that NVIDIA weakness through that bottom end of that wedge. I would consider shorting one more and then setting the stop at 31.25, 31.75. Yeah. I don't want to add to a loser, so I'm not going to do that. If I entered up here at 31 and then tried to enter the add at the bottom, then that was a different story. Stop set in place. It's okay. NVIDIA needs to go below here again if it's going to continue. If it's going to rotate back higher, this is going to take off. This is very choppy, but NVIDIA is still looking to rotate lower. Just watching the NVIDIA do nothing. A nice little melt in NVIDIA would be a very helpful thing here for everybody in the short side. On everything, right? You can start to see it heaviness. If you can get through that 53.40, you're going to start to see sellers pour in and that 38.44 come into play. Well, maybe 42, if you're going to be more cautious on it. But if that does come into play, then this 570, this VWAP comes in. Like I mentioned, realistically should have been short from 31.75. Every time it came into here, just try and sell it until it doesn't play out. You could take your quick 100 on it, and that's how you could build up to, just hammering a level. That just depends on your strategy. I'm looking for a little bit further of a depth into this. NVIDIA is still breaking the low again. If it could break this low, 955, I think down we go. There it goes. It's got to break this low here, 955 even. What the hell is that? Oh. Didn't know it could do that. That's a little bit whippy, probably a liquidity grab there. I think I like that to be an out. I move my stop to just above 31.75. I don't want to be in if this is a liquidity grab run to the high side. Failed breakdown on the wedge. Rotate higher for NVIDIA. Potentially that's what we're looking at there. What does Apple look like? Rotating higher a little bit. Softy. Yeah, we're going to get out probably right there. Look at how important that level is. Just back and forth on it. There's a whip above it, and there's an out. Okay, we're out on that. good. We're at 533.22. Pause on this for now. 10:38. Stream goes to 11 every day. 8:30 to 11 every day. We're up 5. Just took a quick loss there. 533. Nothing crazy. Something that I was just willing to take the shot at based on NVIDIA. But NVIDIA looking like it's trying to be a failed breakdown, but we're really not getting that fast move that you get on a failure. So potentially look to see if it stays heavy. Apple and Microsoft. We're accepting now into that level. Holding it above here to try and go long potentially. Oh, looking for this here. You can see this sort of forming here, this little rising pattern as well. More in that range, but that kind of was like a liquidity grab there to push us back higher, continue this rally up into the 560, 558 to 560. I do like that. Building up, building up, building up. This is no longer important, but I do like this here holding. So we're going to watch that on the downside. If it does crack to the downside, then that should induce the short. But as far as support is concerned, we are pushing up pretty nicely. NVIDIA, no, not so much. NVIDIA failing again. This could be a trap here, getting people involved above high a day for longs. Our stop was stopped out because I tightened it up, but realistically, that looks like a nice little divergence there. Delta didn't play along. Delta made it slightly. It didn't come even close to that previous high, though, and we broke through there. So I'll watch that. Give me 2 minutes. I'm going to use the restroom quick, and then I'll be right back. Let's see what we got here. Very interesting here. Okay, that might be, like I said, you can see NVIDIA breaking down. This was lower high on the Delta. I'm going to play a short through 31.75 if I can get it. $31.75. That's my level. I'm watching it. If it holds it, great. We won't get involved short, but if it doesn't hold that 31.75, then there's a good chance that rotation down happens. I liked up to 60, 58, 60. That level there is pretty liquid, but there is some down into there. Like I said, I think there's just this level right here. That 50 level is kind of another level that could reject pretty hard based on the overnight. But looking at this now, looks like it wants to hold. 10:45. About 15 more minutes left in the stream. I may take this short just if it gets to be that spot, but right now it doesn't look like it's going to be a short for me. Kind of just watching it. I'm going to give this a once over here. This not important. This here. Like I said, that's pretty important. This, get rid of that. Get rid of this. I call this level probably right there. That's the zone that we're currently in. You can see it's like a rising wedge here, a bit, nothing crazy, but just not following through. But I'm watching. Just watching, waiting. 50s. NVIDIA trying to break above again. Apple holding above 170.30. Now you're starting to get some strength, pushing in. Yeah, I'm not trying to force anything in really right here, but I do see that, you know, you're trying to make new highs. Delta is not playing here, right? You're not getting any sort of new buying coming in right around here. The high right there keeps getting wicked, but no luck on following through. NVIDIA is still trying to hold that lower end of this. So realistically, like I said, if you do get another crack down below 31.75, anticipate maybe some follow through to view up. If it holds and continues to rally and you start to get some more bidding coming into play here with the Delta, then maybe the follow through comes through. But until then, you know, price probably just needs to rest and catch up. It might just go sideways to the trend line before it continues to rally. Just watch these levels. Reject that high again. It rejected that level again. That 41. $959 failing. Look at NVIDIA. If an Apple or Microsoft tries to play along as well, then possible shorts here. There's that whip. That's a strong Delta push. Look at that. That's actually a true buy right there. Look at that. You see that Delta? That's real buyers coming in there at the bottom. Not sure why. 1048. What was the news on that? Economic calendar? Nothing. No. Nothing. We got 1030. Those came out. Those auctions came out 5, 6 month, and 3 month. Came in right around the previous auction, so not much going there. Good thing we didn't go short right there. You saw that delta candle. This is something that kept me out, which is really nice. But that also tells you that long maybe wants to start to build in and get going up into that 60 level. Yeah, watch the top end of this channel. If it breaks out and goes, if this is going to continue to rally then and become all-time highs once again. But you can see kind of just sitting on this little wedge here, now breaking above. Nvidia also right here breaking above. S&P 5289. Right, and we're approaching that top end of the channel, right? We got 10 minutes left till 11. We're, like I said, we're approaching the top end of the channel. Potentially, it was short once, twice, 3 times. I'll give that an entry there. That's a third attempt, right? And then this is an entry here for a long. We're going to be mindful of this short right here. I'm going to give it a arrow marker right there. We want to see what happens right there at that 18,560. It was resistance prior. You got enough liquidity there at that level for there to be the channel to kind of hold. And right now you're starting to see Nvidia roll over some. So, we're at that point where the channel doesn't have to get touched. It's getting closer to it. So potentially could be an interesting spot to be noting, where you could mitigate your risk, right? You can mitigate risk above that area, anticipating that price shouldn't really get above 66 and a quarter if this is going to continue to be a downtrend. 66 and a quarter is up here. So, realistically, you're risking 20 points at the moment. It's not really great risk to reward on that one. If you can get closer to the high, maybe you risk to here. But you can see price starting to speed up there. Nvidia getting lower. I still like that 31.75 level for the short, right? There's a first breakdown. If this can hold, the next break is 31.75. It's got to hold that, though. Can't just wick it. Eyeballing that arrow right there to see what happens. And you can see here on Nvidia, this is the area that is important, right here. And it's kind of acting almost like that. These wicks seem to be negligible at the moment. There you go. Yeah, I like the short there. I'm a perma bear, it seems like, in this market. And it's been getting me in trouble. See what happens with these two. If you can't make a new high and then you break this first little area here, I'm watching that 31.75 for that to be the real break. But if you break the high here and you continue back up, like I said, 60 price should not make it above 65.50. 65. What's this price here? We'll call it. That's VWAP. Doesn't say the high on it. 65. We'll call it 65 or 66. Price should not make it above there if this is going to be a valid downtrend. Right? It shouldn't. Every single time here is lower high, lower high, lower high. This one invalidated it, rotated lower, lower high, lower high. You do not want to get above this major swing high here, right? You made new lows. Now you're pulling back up into. So if this is going to be a confirmed downtrend still, you want to stay below that 66, 65, 66 area. And you see NVIDIA now trying to break that bottom end of that pattern there. So I'll watch this. If that does break and hold, then this probably starts to go right then and there. So let's see. Do we front run it? Do we go with one again? I'll put a stop sell order right there below there. If it gets filled, then I'll switch over. If I see NVIDIA start to dump from here, I'll switch over to there because this will likely get filled. I would love to get up to that area, that 56, 60, 56 to, yeah, like I said, 56 to 60 area. You know, this could be one more bounce, and then down it goes. You can see those are just wicks. Quick. There's a breakdown on NVIDIA. So if this is going to go, it's probably going to go here. This breaking down didn't give you the same kind of push that I expect to follow through. Apple pushing high. Microsoft also hit the low and bounced. How's the delta looking? Same deal. That big delta push wicked you out, and then now failing and rotating back down, right back to the bottom of that delta push. Trying to make new lows on delta, not making new lows on price. So that's also another interesting development going on right there. There's the Russell pulled back some. We're short, risking to the high. There's the break of NVIDIA. NVIDIA's breaking. Now you should probably see selling pour in from that. This is where I would be interested in an ad if I were to be doing this on a longer term sort of sell basis. Look at NVIDIA go. If we get down into this, I watch this resistance at set 31.75. I'm going to mitigate my loss, right? If I do get this add-on, I want to only be risking to the original entry. So that's where I'm kind of cheating on that first contract. And then I would look to take probably one down here at 17, 20, probably at 20. So I'll go buy, live buy here at 20.50. And that's where I want that whole setup to go. Add one, take one off, and then let the runner go. If this is how that's going to play. If it's going to be a buy, then we'll be out. But with it, we're just playing the odds of NVIDIA breaking through lows, being heavy, being the leader, and then trying to follow through with a breakdown of a rising wedge pattern, diminishing delta, all of the above, kind of just playing into our hand a bit. There's that break and a hold. Probably would like to rotate all the way down, or at least halfway to 946, 947, 947. Like I said, if I get the add-on, we're going to the original stop, or just above here, I should say. Because I think if we do get through that 31.75, it should just go and probably take off that 20 pretty fast. But if it's not going to break it, I want to be out. Heaviness, like I said, I'll add to my winners on this. This seems like a good heavy timing. It's 11 o'clock. I get the break even now on that. If we get the add on, then we should probably even get our add off right at 20. Actually, I'll probably even make the add get off there at 21.50. NVIDIA is still being heavy. Risk free right now. If we do get this add-on, we'll probably be only risking about 200 on it. And the reason I set my stop that much further below is just because of that. I want to see it break this trend line. I don't want to see it hold it. This is still going to be heavy. We're still good. We're still good. If 31.75 breaks and holds, I think it's a hard flush. IWM holding that 21.05. There we go. Filled on that ad, risking 145. We'll see this get that contract off. Yeah, NVIDIA is still heavy. We're still in good shape. Delta is getting heavy, right? Making new lows, continuous. That's a good sign for the short to continue, right? You can see it pushing down there. I'm just going to try and see if I can get that add-on. We're going to break even, so if it goes above 31.75. So this is a free trade. We got our add-on, so we are maximizing our reward to our risk, right? So if we can get that first contract off at 21 because we're front-running the 20s. There's the heaviness. There you go. There's the flush down. Shouldn't get above 31.75 right now. If it does, it may whip us out and run up and then kind of come down. But I feel the heaviness is just kind of start pouring in now. You're starting to get sellers to be really convinced on two breakdowns here. That's really kind of just where I'm at with this trade at the moment. I said it's risk free. We're gonna make $75 on it at the worst, and at the most we can make unlimited unlimited profit on it. But right, obviously we're gonna limit ourselves to that 1,500 for the day. Front running the 20 because I feel like it'll grab some liquidity. That one wick right there should get filled. Let's see if it does. If not, we're gonna be upset. There we go. Good. We secured that there. So we are realized of 924. And I wanted to take it down to VWAP if we can. And I'm leaving my stop above 31.75. So we're filled up. We've realized 925 on that trade. So 924. We're 924. And we're currently short one. Oh my gosh. Short one NQ at 18,530. And our target is VWAP. I apologize. I was not on that screen at all, but I was talking it through. I switched over to the wrong screen, but here's where we were at. We had the ad on at 30. The first one we were on short from the break of the low here. Then we added, and now we've mitigated. We took one contract off at 21, and now we anticipated the bounce at 21. That's why we took one off there, but we left one runner on with a risk of 55. So basically, we've secured 900, just shy of 1,000 on this on the day, and we're looking to see if we can get down to VWAP and secure that last little bit. But if we get back above 31.75, we probably could run to highs, but I don't like that. I like that the NVIDIA is still pushing lower, because we're probably actually going to get stopped out here. I think if 31.75 gets broken, then upside potential on this is fine to go upside. There's that rejection of 31.75. That's the reason why the stop is there. Watching this, we're seeing if we can get two combines today over 1,000, so we can try and pass 3 of them this week and get ourselves $150,000 worth of funding, and then start to maximize our strategy on how to retain them and maximize our profits and our payouts. That's really what we're here for, is trying to get some payouts, right? So let's see what we can do. Russell looking to break that 21.05. Still pushing lower. Very good. Very, very good. If we can get through the 20s, right? Like that was the problem before. We've got to get through the 20s. If we can get through the 20s, we can get to VWAP, I would anticipate. Even probably down even into that 490 level. There's NVIDIA still pushing lows. Like I mentioned, that 46 probably is going to be an interesting level, 46.80. But if we can get down into 45, then you got to really watch for the bounce and or the flush, because there may be some sellers that just keep pouring into that short, right? So that's really what I'm watching on that. We cracked the low of 1975. I'm going to go to break even just so I can just not give back anything. I just want to make sure that this can break the low before it breaks through 31.75. That's why I'm leaving it there. I just want to make sure that that low can crack. That confirms that the low either is going to continue, or if we rotate back down, we end up rotating all the way up. So I want to make sure I can break that low first, which we just did. So we're now 100% secured. There's no loss involved in this. I mean, there is no loss. We already secured a decent amount on it. So we're looking to see if we can follow this short all the way through, down to the downside, back to VWAP. If we can get back to VWAP, there we go. Beautiful move there on the short side. We're going to go above 24 there, because if this comes back, then we're going to be out anyway, right? So we're just going to secure another $100 on it. Make sure we guarantee ourselves $1,000 on the day. And now it's either 1,000 or 1,500, and that's it. We're done for the day. Call it, and then do it all again tomorrow. We are very pleased with our patience today, having a plan, having a strategy, coming out here and just executing every idea that we have that was an appropriate setup, and not just kind of emotionally hammering into trades because you missed something because of that. Talking through every single aspect of each piece, even the trail, the out, every little bit. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to just every day grow, get better. If we can keep below this 14 level, I'm probably going to trail up to 20. So then we can definitely maximize our closeness to that. But I think VWAP does get tagged. So we should be able to get down through the low there. I'm going to just put it there above this candle. And we'll go candle by candle, I guess. If we get really tight to that 515 down there, I'll just kind of go really tight with the stop, because I'm not going to take a bounce. You know what? Yeah, we'll take that. Up about 1,200. Secured another 220 on this trade, so up 1,100 secured, depending on the slippage that they got going on this account. We're going to be out on this probably right here on the whip up, unless it decides to go just melt off real hard and get us out at 515. So it's either, you make 5 or you make 2 on the ad. If we were not in a combine and not trying to go past a limit of how much money you can make per day, 50% of your gains, that was a good trail anyway. But realistically, you get one contract off, you're up already 1,000 on the day. Why not leave your stop at break even and then let it see how far it can get, and then have some trailing rules to go further? Say, okay, we hit VWAP, I'm going to start to tighten at VWAP, or give yourself some room there as far as those are concerned when it comes down to it, right? Because we still got room to VWAP. There's still some interesting things there. But we finished the day up $1,142.60. I'd say that's a fair day to start the week, right? Flat. We ended up 1,142. All on properly executed shots, right? Not just taking shots, not just making up what we're thinking is going to happen. We allowed things to set up. We gave ourselves some confluence. We waited for NVIDIA to finally break down. Once NVIDIA finally broke down, we saw this big arrow here that I drew up, waiting for that 60 level to come into play. Didn't quite make it there, but we got close enough to where the short should probably start to think about coming in. And we had our key levels at 31.75. Right here it's 32.25, but I can make it 31.75 if I can. 31.75. There we go. So that was the level that I've been watching all day. Finally broke it down. And I did mention that NVIDIA probably starts to hit a wall here at 46, 45. So there's that 46.85 level that got tagged, and now it's just kind of hanging around. We would have been break even. We didn't want to get stopped above 31.75. So that's what we were looking at for the high end of this. I'm guessing that the high of the day is probably in for the day right now, unless you get some news. So a potential rotation to continue to rotate down to VWAP would be something that I would be interested in. But like I said, above 31.75 does give you the okay, it might be still bullish kind of thought process, right? Because also S&Ps did hold that 52.82 So do you stay just range bound in the S&Ps, which kind of keeps you range bound up at these levels on the NQ, right? So they're tightly correlated in the fact that they kind of have a lot of the same names in them. So these futures levels do make sense. But to end the day up 1,142.60, you can see it right there at the top of the screen. No jokes there. I'm just gonna I'll give it to you here so you can see it. I don't know if you can zoom in on that. No. You can see it. 1142.60. Oh. So we got one combine at 11, another one at 12. So we're up on the day, 2 accounts over 1,000. Tomorrow we'll try and get the third one up there, and then these ones, they are still just shy. So tomorrow we're still limited to 1,500. So we technically can't pass by tomorrow either of these accounts. One's at 1,300, the other one's at 1142. So we can't do anything there with that. I would just be mindful. Potentially we could pass by Wednesday if we do have a good little run of the same kind of trades. Just because today we did 1,100 doesn't mean tomorrow we're going to do 1,100. We're just going to be doing our best to execute around the same idea, same kind of level, same strategy, and then be done with it there. So I appreciate everybody coming by, stopping in, watching the stream, making a grand total of $1,142 on the combine. I did mention that earlier. Today we're going to try and get 3 funded accounts by the end of the week, or early next week, whenever we can get a chance to finish them off. I'm going to be selectively aggressive with these accounts. I am trading full minis. There are $50,000 Top Step accounts. If you want to be following along and try and get funded, go to topstep.com and do that. Or you could go to the link on my site here at daytradingcoffeeco.com. Go to the partnerships page. I will put it here in the link. And you could click the Day Trading Coffee Company to go to the Top Step account and click here for one step funding. That link will get you a slight discount on the first combine that you do. It's a negligible fee that I get, like not a fee, but like a finder's fee or whatever whatever they do with it. I don't really make anything out of it. It's just a good resource to have for people to be able to click in and know that I sent them there. I'm looking to try and partner with them with the Day Trading Coffee Company. So the more people I do send through the link, the more I will be able to prove concept to them that I do have some influence with getting people to be signing up. And, I'm not really trying to get paid. I just want to try and partner with them with the coffee company and do some sort of sponsorship stuff. So like I said, if you can click the link on that website, go through there if you want to get an account, and then we could get funded together and we could start pulling out profits. If that's what you want to do with futures trading, give it a shot. It's $49 for a 50K account. Can't beat that, really. And then you just take your time with it. Make sure that you're just doing the right thing, and you'll be fine. All right, so stream again tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. I'll be on for market open. Hopefully everything you did today was just as good. Follow along. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8:30. Don't be afraid. Go over to that Day Trading Coffee Co. website. Buy some coffee. Get yourself fueled up. Use discount code POLICINGPIPS for 15% off all your orders. Also, if you want to click that link there in the alerts, it'll get you to the partnership page where I'm looking to try and get you some discounts for any sort of combines or anything like that. So you can go into there and grab your combine on the affiliate link there, so I can prove to them that I can get that. And I want to try and start giving away combines. So if I can prove that people want them, then I can start giving them away and stuff like that. So until tomorrow, 8:30 Central Time, I will see you all then. Talk to you later.